The DCU will be taking a different approach from the MCU in one major way. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. DC Studios CEO James Gunn confirmed his DCU will not be copying one of the MCU's most famous traits. The filmmaker already clarified one MCU mistake he will not be copying, confirming every project will work as an individual story, and previous projects will not be required viewing to enjoy the latest releases. A fan on Threads asked James Gunn whether he plans to announce a full release schedule for the DCU, similar to those Marvel Studios is famous for with its slate reveals at San Diego Comic-Con and D23. In response, the DCU boss confirmed his superhero universe will avoid this Marvel Studios trait because nothing is greenlit before they have a finished script. Question: will you ever do a release schedule like Feige for MCU? Or will you just say another movie is in development when it starts? Gunn: it won't be exactly like Marvel because nothing is greenlit before we have a finished script. While the MCU has long been known for its multi-project slate plans that chart the course of movies and shows for years to come, these have grown less popular in recent years as more and more projects shift from these once-planned dates. During an interview with Collider, Gunn explained that DC Studios has no set timeline for anything, as he aims to prioritize the writing process. There's no set timeline for anything. The one thing I've tried to make clear to people from the beginning, and the way I hope we're different, is that everything at DC is going to be based on the writers. He went on to clarify that no DC movie or series will get made until there is a screenplay that he is totally happy with. Until we have a screenplay that I'm totally happy with, that movie is not going to get made, no matter what it is. And so we have been really fortunate with some screenplays. But it's all going to be based on that, on the story. Because at the end of the day, if we're happy with the story that we're telling, that's what matters most. Rewinding to his early days in Hollywood when he wrote 2002's Scooby-Doo, Gunn pointed out that the movie was made because people liked the script. In what appears to be a dig at Disney and the MCU, the DC Studios co-CEO explained how many studios are greenlighting projects because an IP has to be out on a certain date, leading to worse scripts. Back in the day when I came to Hollywood, Scooby-Doo got greenlit because people liked the script. You may not like the movie, but it got greenlit because people liked the script. And today people are greenlighting projects because an IP has to be out on a certain date, which means that the screenplays are worse and movies are suffering for it. James Gunn's plan to put the writers first at DC Studios will undeniably be a fruitful one both for creatives behind the scenes and fans in the theaters. This will ensure movies do not proceed with unfinished scripts, giving creatives time to perfect the story, thereby resulting in better movies and less stress behind the scenes. As such, fans should not expect to see Gunn on stage anytime soon, reeling off release dates for movies and shows that are still early in development. Instead, such announcements will only be made for projects with completed scripts that are either in production or gearing up to start filming shortly. Of the 11 MCU movies released so far in the multiverse saga, none have come to theaters on the same date that was originally announced. Be that due to COVID-19, Hollywood strikes, production difficulties, scripting struggles, and other factors. Blade offers the perfect justification behind Gunn's philosophy of not greenlighting projects until a script is complete. The vampiric blockbuster has already held 4 release dates, so should Marvel Studios just cancel it altogether, and has gone through at least 6 writers, with no completed screenplay in sight. Yes, Gunn did announce 10 movies and shows for the DCU shortly after he was hired to lead the studio. But this announcement differed from Marvel Studios' presentations in a major way, as only Superman was given a release date, while everything else was only revealed to be in development. By all accounts, this plan appears to be working for DC Studios, as Superman has wrapped production looks on track to make its original July 11, 2025 date. Further release windows have since been announced with Supergirl set for June 26, 2026, Peacemaker Season 2 dated for August 2025, and Lanterns planned for 2026. The sophomore season of Peacemaker has already wrapped production, while Supergirl and Lanterns are expected to film in early 2025. This makes it clear that Gunn is staying true to not hyping up or pushing forward with projects far away. This likely explains why word has been quiet on The Brave and the Bold, Paradise Lost, Booster Gold, Swamp Thing, Waller, and The Authority, as the DCU boss isn't looking to raise XI. As if the Snyderverse couldn't get deader, James Gunn manages to do it with his newest DCU casting. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Fans of Zack Snyder's original plans for the DCU have been dead in the ground long before James Gunn joined as co-CEO of DC Studios and ushered in the DCU. It only started to become deader with every consecutive recast, the biggest being Henry Cavill's recast by David Corenswet as Superman. Before the release of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Gunn addressed Momoa's future as Aquaman and his desire to play Lobo, stating that, "We won't have an actor playing two different roles." He suggested that Momoa had to make a choice, and it seems he finally did. It was officially announced that Jason Momoa will play Lobo in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Deadline, which means, per Gunn's rule, Momoa can no longer return as Aquaman in the DCU. This marks the third final nail in the coffin of the Snyderverse after Henry Cavill's Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman recasts. Not to mention the unlikelihood of Gal Gadot returning as Wonder Woman. It's also possible that the DCU's new Flash won't be Barry Allen anymore but Wally West, making Ezra Miller's return as the Speedster even more unlikely after the Flash bombed with fans, critics, and at the box office. So, that's even 5 potential nails. This may have been in the works since January 2023, when Jason Momoa issued that cryptic message about his DC future during the impending reboot. He certainly seemed overjoyed with the news, and what better news than playing one of his favorite comic book characters? James Gunn's role for Lobo in Woman of Tomorrow. What's funny about Momoa joining Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow isn't just that it's another nail in a long line of nails that is the Snyderverse coffin, but that Lobo was originally intended to be a part of Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow comic from the beginning. According to Word Ballone, via comicbook.com, King initially pitched his book to be a team-up with Lobo and Supergirl but was told by his editors to take Lobo out of the story. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, began as me pitching a Lobo/Supergirl book, and it was my editor S., Brittany Holzer and Jamie Rich, who were like, "No, take Lobo out and make Supergirl the Rooster Cogburn character." Lobo's role in the film adaptation of King's comic can't be the Rooster Cogburn character, since that's Supergirl's role with the Madeline Ross character being taken by Eve Ridley's Ruthie. It's more likely than not that, being a deadly bounty hunter in the comics, Lobo will be hired by Krem to fight Supergirl. In the original comic, Kara's final conflict was with the pirates Kerm has joined, who proved to be a feeble threat to her. So, having Lobo on Kerm's payroll would provide a far more deadly opposition for Supergirl in her way of Kerm. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow will be released in theaters on June 26, 2026. New photos reveal the DCU's final Justice League crossover before DC reboot. New photos reveal the DCU's final Justice League crossover before DC reboot. Is Aquaman 3 with Timothée Chalamet real or fake? Release speculation explained. Is Aquaman 3 with Timothée Chalamet real or fake? Release speculation explained. James Gunn just cast the 4th lead superhero in the new DC